Let's see how to create and start working with a PostgreSQL Docker container. I already have Docker installed. I'm not going to cover Docker installation in this tutorial. And we're going to start by opening the Windows terminal. So I'll right click here and choose terminal. And the first thing we're going to do is to pull the PostgreSQL image. To do that, I'm going to run docker pull postgres latest. And this will download the latest PostgreSQL image. So let's run this command. And I already downloaded it before, so for me it was instantaneous. But for you it might take a few minutes. Once we have that, we're going to open Visual Studio Code. Here it is, let's open it. And now I'm going to open my extensions tab from here, and I'm going to look for PostgreSQL. And we are going to work with the one offered by Microsoft. For me, it's the third option. In your case, the order might be a bit different, but I think that this extension is very good. It has a lot of features, and it's especially convenient if you're planning to work with Docker containers. Let's install it. Okay, and the extension was installed, and now we can see here on the left the new icon for the PostgreSQL extension. So let's click on it. And now it's trying to connect to local databases. It's not going to find anything because I don't have PostgreSQL installed locally. But what we are going to do is click here where it says create new server. So let's create new server. And here we can see two options. This option is not available yet. In the future, we will be able to create a PostgreSQL Azure instance right from here, but we cannot do it yet. What we can do is create a local Docker PostgreSQL server. So this is what I'm going to choose. And here we have a little welcome screen, so I'm going to scroll down and let's get started. And now it's making sure that Docker is installed, which is installed for me. So let's continue. Next, we need to provide a connection name. I'm just going to call it pgcon1. Next, we need to provide a name for the container, and by default, it will use the same name as the connection. Works fine for me. We then need to specify a username, and by default it's going to be Postgres. Once again, I am going to go with the default, and I will use the Postgres as my username. And then we need to provide a password. So let me write something here. Write down the password that you chose because we're going to use it in a minute. You can save password if you want. I'm not going to do that. And here we need to choose the name for the first database, the database that we're going to start with. The default is Postgres, and this is what I am going to go with. And let's click on create. It will spin up the new container and immediately connect to it. Okay, and the container was created and now it's going to connect to it. So let's give it another second. Okay, and it's done. And as you can see here under connections, we now have our new connection called pgcon1. And if we open our databases, we can see Postgres because this is the name we chose for our first database. So let's expand this database. And under schemas, we have public, and here we can see our tables. At the moment, we don't have any tables, but if we had any tables, we could see them here. Now, back in the terminal, we can list our running containers, and this can be done with docker container ls. And we can see that this new container was created about a minute ago, and it was named pgcon1, which is the same name that we have for the connection itself. Let's now say that I want to add a second database to my Docker container. To do that, I'm going to use the command line utility, and this can be easily done from the container itself. So we're going to use the docker execute command, so docker exec, and we want an interactive session, so -it. Then we need to specify the name of the container, which is pgcon1 in my case, so let's copy and paste it here. And then we need to specify the command that we want to run. So this is going to be psql. This is the PostgreSQL command line client. Then we need to specify the user we want to use. So -U Postgres. And here, Postgres is the name of the user. So let's run this command. And we're now connected to the PostgreSQL server that's running in the container. So what I'm going to do here is create a new database. And this can be done with the command create database, followed by the name of the database that I want to create. Let's say db1. And then semicolon and enter. And a new database was created. And to exit from PostgreSQL, I can type in exit. And we're now back in Windows. And if we're going back to Visual Studio Code, I can minimize my view, and let's see what we have now under servers. So here is our connection, and now I can right click on databases and refresh, and we can now see the new db1 database on top of the Postgres database that we already had before. Let's now run a simple query to create a new table in this database. So I'm simply going to click here at the top where it says search, then I choose show and run commands, and here I'm going to look for new query. And we can see PGSQL new query. This is what we're going to choose. And then we need to choose the connection we want to use for this new query. And I'm of course going to use my pgcon1 connection, so let's choose it. And then I need to provide my password, so let's type it in. And here we can write the SQL code for the new query. I want to create a new table, so I'll use the create table command. But before running it, I'm going to click here, and at the moment, as you can see, it says Postgres. If I click on it, we can see a list of the database in our container. In my case, I want to create the new table in the DB1 database, so let's choose it, and now it says DB1. And to run this query, I can click here on the green play icon, so let's click on it. And we can see here on the left in the query history that it was completed successfully. Let's expand our databases again, and let's see what we have in the DB1 database. And if we look at our tables, we can see that we have the new product table along with all of its columns.